I guess the goals never really change. It's still to accomplish with your breeding the best cow that we can have around to milk and produce the next generation of young stock from.
It's just fun to give kids that don't have that opportunity on a home basis to come to the farm, and we can work with them and help them out and watch them learn along the way.
Welcome to Holstein Connections, where we share the latest stories, insights, and news from Holstein Association USA and beyond. The largest dairy cattle breed association in the world, Holstein Association USA provides leadership, information, and services to help dairy producers worldwide be successful. Whether you're in the barn, on the road, or just tuning in for your dose of dairy news, we're glad you're here. This is Holstein Connections. Hello, everyone. I'm Emily Bosch, and joining me today, we have this year's Elite Breeder Award recipients. The Elite Breeder Award is bestowed annually upon a living Holstein Association USA member, family, partnership, or corporation who has bred outstanding animals and thereby made a notable contribution to the advancement of the Holstein breed in the United States. This year's Elite Breeder Award recipients are Jeff and Kate Hendrickson of Jeffrey Way Holsteins. Jeff and Kate are joining me today. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Hi.
Let's start with a little bit of background on the history of the farm. How did Jeffrey Way Holsteins start?
Well, I guess it started back, I was in FFA in high school and became a junior Holstein member and started with an animal. I bought it a dispersal, and then we moved on from there. And a few years later, we purchased other animals, and kind of that's when we purchased the Inwood Taffy animal, and that's kind of what 90% of the herd traces back to now, the Taffy family. And then we took in this lady come into my life named Kate, and we ended up cash renting a farm on our own for a few years after I had farmed at home with my dad and my brother. And we ended up buying this farm that we're on in 1991. So that's kind of basically the start. It was originally an FFA project that turned into a Junior Holstein project, and we moved on from there.
And I grew up on a grade dairy farm, but always showed my entire, childhood. And then into the registered when I connected with this guy here.
So it sounds like you both have had a love for the dairy industry and the Holstein breed from a young age. Jeff, is your experience in FFA and Junior Holstein what inspired you to pursue dairy farming as a career?
Well, I guess I had an older brother that got interested in registered Holsteins, and then we had neighbors and friends that had some cattle and got like the show and stuff. So we started the show, and it just kind of got the ball rolling there.
So today, how do you strive to live out your farm's motto, where family matters each day?
Well, I guess as far as with the cattle and the genetics, we always we believe in strong cow families, and the T family has been the root of our herd for, a number of years now. And we try and continue and evolve that family and breed on. And the model is kind of a two-part thing too, because it not only has to do with the cows and the herd being a one cow family, but also our family matters a lot to us, because without our kids and that, every one of our kids are involved in showing and active in Junior Holstein. And today, as our kids have evolved and they've gone on and done their own things, they're still a part of the involvement they had as youth, and we still have tight ties with them and still do family things. So that's how we kind of keep the family matters going. So.
Absolutely. Tell me a little bit more about your family.
We have an older son, and he will help us out with field work. His name is Brandon, and he's married and lives probably, 5 miles from here, not too far. He actually works for the county. And then our daughter, Kelsey, and she and her husband, Jeremy, farm down by Monroe, Wisconsin. And they have Brown Swiss and Holstein. Actually, they've purchased several cows from us over the years. And so it's kind of fun to see those cows in their herd too. And then our son, Trent, he's got a huge farm, him and his wife. And then our daughter, Brian, and she just moved back from the state of Washington. She and her husband have been out there. And she's always been involved in, showing and very much in the Holstein Association. And then Brooks, who is on the farm with us, and his wife, Riley, she grew up showing too. So, and she's helping out on the farm when she gets a chance. And she has a daytime job, but helps out at night at the farm or on the weekends. So, yeah.
Fun to hear about the connection all of your kids still have to the dairy community and the farm. So what does Jeffrey Way Holsteins look like today? Who is involved, and what role do each of you play?
Well, currently Jeffrey Way is we have about 125 milk cows and about 150 head of young stock. We milk 2 times a day in a tie stall barn where the cows are housed in tie stalls and free stalls. And typical work day is Kate and I usually do the morning milking, and Brooks does some feeding and other chores. And then Kate does the calf feeding, and we just kind of all plug in and do other chores throughout the day. And then in the evenings, it's kind of the same thing, except Brooks and I kind of swap roles, and he milks. And
Brooks and I, usually milk at night, and he does odd jobs and feeding and all the other things that come up on the farm, as you well know.
and then Riley usually feeds calves at night during the week when she's able to after her work. She helps out with a little bit of milking and feeds calves. So, and we have some grandkids with us all the time that are a big help too.
It's a team effort for sure.
More ways.
And
They're our entertainment.
Right. Their roles are kind of interesting because they can kind of be bossy sometimes.
I'm sure they're making lots of memories along the way too. So how has the farm changed or evolved over the years?
Well, I guess we've grown in numbers. As far as changes, we're still milking in the same barn that we actually milked in 35 years ago. We have expanded some of the young stock buildings. When we first started farming, the freestall barn that we currently house the cows in was a young stock building, and we converted it to a cow facility. We've just kind of stayed true to what we've been doing. And as far as the future, there'll probably be some changes coming up, as Kate and I obviously are getting close to retiring. And so we're in a transition period right now, talking about what we need to do.
Getting ready to pass it on to the next generation. What is the Jeffrey Way breeding philosophy?
Always said that it's to breed high producing cows that score high and do a milk for a number of lactations. Pretty simple. Sounds simple, and I guess that's what we strive for. So
it sounds simple, but I'm sure it's a little bit more complicated in practice and actually achieving that goal. So what sort of strategies or tools do you use to achieve that breeding goal?
We pick bulls that have good cow families, and we try to watch linears and matings, and we use some genomic bulls and some proven bulls. And the proven bulls, obviously, we've seen daughters and stuff, so that we can decide what cows they work on and that sort of thing. In addition to high scoring, high producing cow, we like to strive for good feet and legs, and obviously udders. Udders are the most important thing.
So you mentioned the cow family aspect of that. What difference do you believe that knowing the cow family or maybe seeing some of those daughters makes?
Well, we've seen over the years with our herd the importance of the cow family, and we've used bulls and stuff that maybe weren't from such good cow families, and a lot of times they're kind of hit and miss, whereas maybe with a good cow family, we believe that they're a little more consistent in the breeding patterns.
So what does the ideal Holstein cow look like to you?
Well, I guess I could name off some cows, but that's kind of biased or whatever, I guess. I would say that the ideal Holstein cow, I mean, the true type model cow now that we got is pretty accurate of what we would like. I guess my ideal Holstein cow would be a cow that's 58, 60 or 61 inches tall, and obviously a wide chest and open, long bodied. That's kind of describing maybe the T family a little bit. They're longer bodied cows, not always super deep rib, but lots of spring of rib and a flat wide rump with obviously high wide rear udders would be my ideal type of a cow.
So let's learn a little bit more about the T family that you've mentioned. What's the story of Taffy? Tell me more about that, the story of your foundation cow.
Well, Taffy was purchased in 1983 at a dispersal. Inwood Farm was operated by John Ousted, who I actually was a herdsman for 2.5 to 3 years. And Taffy was a cow there when I worked there. And then when he had his dispersal, I bought her. And that's how that got started. And then we had some issues with her. She had a DA and she had complications. She had adhesions, but we didn't know she was going to ever amount to a whole lot, because I know the vet said that he might end up having to get rid of her. Anyway, he did surgery, broke down the adhesions, and actually she come out of it pretty good and ended up living until she was 12 years old. So.
And we flushed her then, so started working with, trying to get more babies out of her.
The main thing with her was she's a big, wide-chested cow and stuff like we talked about, and that was what tripped my trigger to purchase her, I guess.
Well, what an amazing story that she has. So what influence does the T family continue to have on your herd today, all these years later?
Well, about 90% of the herd traces back to that cow. And over the years, I guess, kind of dating ourselves here, but back in the 90s, we had a cow named Tina that became kind of globally renowned cow, that there's a lot of demand for bulls from her and embryos. And to this day, we get visitors to the farm that were here in the 90s that say, oh yeah, I remember when Tina stood in this spot,
Wow.
or Tripoli stood here, Kate stood here, and people that have been here and visited us before come back to see the cow family, and a lot of them are interested in purchasing embryos and stuff. And
What was special about Tina? What was her story?
well, Tina's quite the story, really, because we call her Teeny Tiny Tina, because she's an ET calf, and she was born about 5.5 weeks early.
Wow.
And she weighed about 50 pounds, and we fed her about 4 times a day, right on. And
she was tiny.
She was tiny, and it was kind of a lot of pampering to get her going. And it was times like, oh, is this even worth it? Well, obviously that's a dumb question now, but she pulled through. And when she got going, got past the first week of life, why, she just caught up to everybody else by the time she was 2 or 3 months old. And so that's kind of the unique story of her. But yeah, she
tiny but mighty.
She was the first cow that we sold embryos and bulls out of, and we shipped embryos and all over the world from her. And I think we sold like over 200 embryos, and she's put over 20 some bulls in AI. And obviously she had a lot of females too, then offspring that went on to be cows that we were able to flush and build a herd off of, and, you know, not just sell the embryos, but build the herd for us too. I know we had visitors from Japan, and I'll always remember that we had a young gal that was probably a younger teenager, and she come in and they didn't speak any English, but she said, this is kind of a highlight for me because this, you know, your cow is popular all around. She all of a sudden turns to, I think it was her dad, and pointed at Tina and said, "Ooh, Moscot Tina."
That's awesome. Tina was the start of your exporting genetics. Tell me a little bit more about how it grew after that.
Well, as it turned out, we had several daughters of her. She had Luke daughters. Kind of the most prominent one was Tripoli, that sold, as her mother, sold bulls to Japan back in the day when we could do that, and embryos. And she had several daughters that, I mean, we sold embryos to several countries, a number of Tina's daughters. I think she had like 8 or 9 excellent daughters. And they weren't just 90, they were like 92, 3 and 4 point cows.
So what do you think enables you to merchandise your registered Holstein genetics effectively?
Well, obviously, different tools that we use. I know Brooks has spends quite a bit of time putting pictures and stuff on our Facebook page, and seems to be like there's an awful lot of followers that follow that. So I'd say in this day and age, it's probably that, because a lot of our embryo sales are kind of done private. The farmers and from the other countries will purchase the embryos, and then they end up having to hire a broker or whatever to ship them. Whereas back in the 90s, we probably had a middleman that brought the prospective buyers to the farm. So now, back in those days, it was probably more people bringing around like AI companies that would purchase them, and then, you know, they'd sell the embryos back to the farmer and hope to buy a bull back or whatever. But now I'd say 90% of our embryos we sold are probably going into, you know, guys wanting females to enhance their herds.
Amazing how the selling has changed in your time. You probably never imagined that Facebook would be the venue that you're able to market your genetics on.
And that's why Brooks is good at that, because he's at that age where kids are using that all the time, where Jeff and I are not real comfortable. So, but Brooks, yeah, does a really good job with that. And he's always taking pictures, and yeah, that helps.
So who are the hot cows in the T family today? Who is standing out in your herd right now or in recent years?
Well, I guess obviously we don't have her anymore because we sold her a couple of years ago, but Twigs, I think everyone knows Twigs.
Absolutely.
She's pretty popular. And when you talk about ideal Holstein cows, in my mind, she comes pretty close to that. You know, she's 96 points. She's been unanimous All-American and All-Canadian and done well at, you know, the major shows. So she's prominent in the fact that we have 2 daughters of her that are recently fresh, and they're tattoo daughters, and we sold a lot of embryos out of them as heifers. And now that they're fresh again, we've already struck a couple embryo contracts on them now. So, and we're starting to get, we're getting a number of daughters from them too, which we sold one of the daughters in our recent online sale. And so those 2 are pretty prominent. And we have Sauna, which has recently went 95 points back in January. She's a red carrier, and she's polled, and she's got good components and good good milk production. And we were selling embryos out of her. Goes back to, she's a granddaughter of, even though she starts with F, she's a member of the T family. She goes back to, her granddad would be Sapphire, which was a 94-point lawn boy, which was a cow that was pretty prominent. She was over 300,000 lifetime and over 26,000 pounds of combined fat and protein in her lifetime. But like another cow that put some embryos in bulls and sales and stuff too for us. So, and then we also have, in addition, Son is an Addison daughter. We have another Addison daughter that's named Travolta. It's a 94-point cow that we've sold a number of embryos out of her. And then we also have the Tanawood cow, which was a 95-point Atwood cow we recently, she passed away last summer, but we got a number of offspring from her, and one of her granddaughters is a 94-point tattoo that we've sold a significant amount of embryos from. But the Travolta cow is out of a Armani that would be a sister to a cow named Tabor that our granddaughter showed at Madison and was junior champion in the junior show at Madison like 4 years ago. So
T family is still going strong for sure. In your herd, yeah, and in other people's herds too. What's that like for you to see the genetics from your herd do well for others?
That's a good feeling.
Yeah, right. It's exciting when you see something that's a picture and, oh, hey, that's from the T family. Wow, well, she looks good. And, and then when we get our foreign visitors that show up and they say, oh yeah, we've had, this cow here, we got a granddaughter or so-and-so that goes back to Tina, or I bought this embryo from Tina, from you. And we've got this many excellent daughters or whatever from her. So it makes it fun and exciting because we've built kind of a camaraderie with our friends from across the water, I guess, because of the cow family.
Very cool to have those connections all tying back to the registered Holstein cow.
Looking for an easier way to make breeding decisions? With Redbook Plus Online, you have over 50,000 registered Holstein bulls at your fingertips, anytime, anywhere. Search, compare, and build your own custom bull lists using the most trusted genetic and pedigree data from Holstein Association USA. With a clean, mobile-friendly design, you can use it on your phone, tablet, or computer with no software required. Get started today at breedholstein.com. Call Holstein customer service at 800-952-5200 to subscribe. Let Redbook Plus Online help you find the right bull to fit your breeding goals.
So in addition to your focus on genetics, what other management practices or decisions do you think help make your herd successful?
Well, I don't think there's anything that's too scientific about it, really. We try and make good feed, and we try and maintain a schedule, do good herd practices as far as veterinary reproductive checks and vaccinations, try to follow type protocol and that sort of thing, and practice biosecurity whenever we can. Good biosecurity practices. Get calves off to a good start. We got a really, really good calf feeder.
It's not an easy job either.
No, it's not.
You gotta love it, or yeah.
Yes, it takes a special person. Kate, what do you think the key to raising successful, healthy calves is?
Just have a really observant eye and catch if they're off before they really get sick, I'd say. I always, after I feed milk, we feed whole milk. I always take and feed them a bottle of warm water. And if they're a calf that normally drinks their full bottle of water, maybe they're off a little bit and only take a couple sips, then that's usually a pretty good indication to me that, to keep a really close eye, that something's up with them. So I think just really observing them and keeping a close eye. And I think being super consistent about your routine and don't throw them off on weird schedules. And I usually feed them whole milk until they're 2 months of age. So, and then slowly wean off.
And I'm sure getting them off to a good start plays a positive role in the cows and the herd down the line too. So how do products and services from the Holstein Association play a role in your herd management?
Well, obviously, classification, we use classification that kind of turns into a marketing tool as you build pedigrees. Obviously, people tend to like to know what the cows are scored and stuff, and they're purchasing either, the embryos or the calves that we sell in our sales. What else
I think the online programs are, makes it easy to register your cows with the easy program, and like to transfer an animal now is so easy to just go online and zip and you're done.
Well, we tend to use, the linear information and stuff that we get. I guess that all goes back to the classification program.
What does classification day look like at Jeffrey Way Holsteins?
Well, it's not that much different than any other day, other than the fact is that we spend 2.5 hours usually with the classifier, and we tend to do it so that everybody can be home. We usually schedule our time and stuff. So, but it's important. It's always interesting to see how another perspective or another eye or your thoughts on a cow compared to what the classifier's actual thoughts are.
What they see, yeah.
Always a fun day, I'm sure.
It is.
So Jeff and Kate, what's ahead for Jeffrey Way Holsteins? What are future goals or projects that you're working on right now?
Well, and then goals for the farm are we're kind of in a little bit of a transition, starting a transition. So there's some things Kate and I are probably going to stay in partnership with Brooks for a few more years, and we got some decisions to make as far as maybe moving forward with some modernization type of things, decisions as far as, it's always talk of robots or this or that. But I guess we've kind of decided that choice will be up to him when the time comes. But we'll be there to help out along the way.
Right.
Getting ready to pass things on to the next generation. That's always exciting.
Yeah, you like to see it continuing on, and proud that we have somebody in the family that wants to continue, because it's not easy for someone to start out these days. So if you can be there to support them and be proud that they want to continue on.
Absolutely.
So
another element of your involvement in the Holstein Association is your presence at local, state, national shows. Tell me a little bit more about what role the involvement in the Junior Holstein Association and showing played in the role of your family or the life of your family as your children grew up, and why you continue on with that today.
Well, I guess showing is something that once you get it in your system or whatever,
your blood.
it's kind of in your blood. It's a chance to take cows, and it's a chance to compete, I guess, and see how your cattle animals stack up against the other animals in the breed. And it kind of a little bit of the icing on the cake when you do well. So it's just fun.
And even though like all of our kids have grown up and the grandkids are kind of just starting to come into it. So we've had, 1 or 2 years without one of our grandkids or kids not showing, I think.
Well, that's what it will be. Yeah. Cause we've had our older granddaughters have shown. And so,
Yeah. And we've always had 4-H kids that have come and shown. In fact, we have a really good friend of our family. Her daughter is just now getting into 4-H, and she lives in the city, but she's coming and she's going to be showing a calf this year at the fair. So it's just fun to give kids that don't have that opportunity on a home basis to come to the farm, and we can work with them and help them out and watch them learn along the way. And I don't know, it gives them pride. And
Well, like going back to like when our kids were in it, there's like an ethic that they get from that. You got to work with this animal, and you got to take her to the show. You got to make sure you have her ready.
it just teaches them responsibility.
There's a responsibility learned from it for the young kids. But as far as us grown-ups that are still bit by the bug, we just like to see good cows and see how they do and how they stack up.
Are there any show ring memories or moments over the years that really stand out to you?
Well, there's not a lot that are real significant. I mean, I can think of different times where we had a cow win, maybe be grand champion at the district show. One thing that stands out is we've won a fair number of premier exhibitors and breeder awards at the district shows. And if they do well at the state show, obviously our granddaughter Emma showed Tabor, who was junior champion of the junior show at Madison in 2021. That was pretty exciting when that happened. And it was pretty exciting, even though we no longer own Twigs, when she accomplished what she accomplished a couple of years back. And not just in the US, but also in Canada. We also had a neighbor boy that showed cattle for us too, and showed one of Trent's cows that was raised here, and the cow moved with Trent. When Trent started on his own farm, the neighbor boy went over there and worked with the cow, and then that cow turned out to be Dynasty, we ended up being reserve All-American, but was also grand champion at the Wisconsin State Junior Fair for the Pat, our neighbor boy. And then Brian also had grand champion at the Wisconsin State Junior Fair. So we've had, over the years, we've had some grand champions at those kind of shows, and also at the junior show for the Wisconsin Championship show too, where the kids, a couple of times we had junior champion, or not junior champion, but grand champion of the junior show. That was exciting because kids were excited for it, and
just fun to see
yeah,
that their hard work pays off.
Lots of fun memories there for your family, I'm sure.
And the girls did Dairy Bowl too. Well, Trent did it some too, but the girls were into it more. And so I went to a lot of junior Holstein conventions with the girls. And yeah, I mean, they made a lot of good friends through all of that. Friends that they still keep in contact with. So
lots of great connections to be made in those events at a National Holstein Convention for sure. So you've also been able to connect with many international visitors, especially those that like to visit your farm around World Dairy Expo time. What do you enjoy about hosting those visitors at your farm?
Well, we always just like visiting with them and talking to them about if they're farmers or if they're AI people, the things in their country. And of course, we always get asked the milk price or whatever, and we discuss the woes, I guess, of farming and the ups and downs. And it seems to be the same worldwide. So, but I think I mentioned before, what we like is the ones that have visited us before and they come back. And then there's ones that over the years have been here often enough that, we stay in contact with them via texting or emails and stuff. And it's good to see them again. So, and fun to hear what they remember about their previous visits. A lot of those that are repeat visitors.
yeah.
So, and now, of course, it's always like we talked before. It's always good to hear when I've never had anyone tell me that the embryos they bought or whatever turned out bad.
Well, that's a good sign right there.
Maybe that'll happen yet. I don't know. But, we've always had positive feedback from our visitors, so that's what we enjoy most about it. It's just the positive feedback and the camaraderie.
Like you said, lots in common, even though you may live miles and miles and miles apart. So what, a little bit closer to home, what other sorts of dairy or community organizations are you involved in?
Well, locally, like the Greene County has a dairy youth auction with the fair. We've been involved with that. Obviously, we were involved with the HI boards and Holstein County boards on the local level. We've been involved with church council and stuff over the years, 4-H leaders.
Yeah, I was general leader for quite a few years, and then I kind of backed out of that as our kids got older. And then we always host some kids that want to show, and work with them on the farm.
So it seems like most of the stuff we've been involved with really center around the Holstein cow, I guess, or the dairy industry.
Yeah.
So obviously the kids are involved in other stuff growing up too. They were in sports and that sort of stuff. So we did a lot of following, chasing kids around and watching ball games and wrestling matches. And so those kind of are the activities that we've been involved in.
Never a dull moment, I'm sure.
And now we're chasing after grandkids.
Yeah.
So.
The fun continues.
Yeah.
Awesome. What does being recognized as the 2026 Elite Breeder mean to you?
Well, I guess just gives you a sense of pride. It's a good feeling to know that you're recognized by your peers, or it's a sense of accomplishment. I guess that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I guess there's just the feeling of accomplishment and pride, and the recognition part is nice.
So now just a fun little thing that we do on the end is we have 5 would you rather questions. So I'll read them off and you can just both answer to get to know both of you a little bit better. So first question, chocolate milk or whole milk?
Probably chocolate milk if I can get my hands on it.
Whole milk for me.
Barn cat or barn dog?
Barn dog, definitely.
Definitely the dog.
Show day or classification day?
Now that one's a tough one.
That's tough. I'm 50-50 on that.
I guess I'd say I'll go with the show day, just because the interaction with other people rather than just one single classifier. So.
I had to throw a tough one in there for you guys.
Yeah, that one is tough.
Field work or barn chores?
Barn chores.
Barn chores.
And genomic or proven sire?
Proven.
I guess. That's tough. I'll go with the proven.
There we go. Well, Jeff and Kate, thank you both so much for joining me today, and congratulations on the Elite Breeder Award.
Thank you, Emily.
Thanks, Emily. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Holstein Connections. Whether you're in the barn, on the road, or just tuning in for your dose of dairy news, we're glad you're here. Until next time, this is Holstein Connections.